Welcome to Hoyt's Bowhunting Whitetails. Today's the 6th of November. We're going to go back and hunt that same stand that we hunted on the 4th. And that's the one that's by that gate on that corner where there's some pretty nice trails going around the upper end of this ditch. And I know we've profiled this spot in the past. The buck that we're hunting is living in that general area. You know, day by day we don't know for sure where he's at, but we do know that most days he's living in this big long draw, and even more so on the south end of it. And that's where we're going to be this afternoon. We're going to use the tractor again because the exit out of there is going to be tough with all that thick corn behind the stand. But the wind is a little bit better today than it was last time. It's not blowing right straight at that gate where the deer go through. So we can stash the tractor a little bit more strategically so no deer hopefully will see it, and then we can bounce across and get into the stand. We're not going to go through the farm this time either going in. We're going to go out around on the roads and come in from the north end. And it worked, put it this way. It worked, you know, on that last trip through, because the trail cameras that we had along that loop that we drove showed that within an hour after we went through that evening, the deer were back out coming through those same spots. And we'd gone through there once on the way in, and the deer were out in daylight after we went through the first time on the tractor. And then when we went through the second time on the tractor, they were right back there again right away. So it wasn't like they were put off like they would be if we'd walk through there. If you walk through there, you don't get any more pictures for 12 plus hours. But with the tractor, it was just a short period. So we could do that if we needed to, but we don't need to. So we're gonna go clear out around, and that way there's no chance of any deer possibly catching us as we go in that might, be an important part of our afternoon's hunt. So we got a pretty short walk again, which I kind of like. I'm not gonna lie, but it's gonna be maybe a little bit of a chilly ride over there.
A little bit windy, but
yeah,
not too bad.
What other conditions today? It's like a 15-mile-an-hour south wind. What's the temperature?
Like 50 degrees.
50
It
degrees.
feels like a great rut day.
Yeah.
It's cloudy, overcast.
Yeah, and then tomorrow we got big plans for tomorrow if we don't kill today. So hopefully we can get him today though. Hoyt's Bowhunting Whitetails is brought to you by Redneck Blinds, Code of Silence Apparel, the Hunt Stand app, Whitetail Institute, Research Equals Results, B3 Archery, Muddy Outdoors Tree Stands, Stealth Cam Trail Cameras, My Outdoor TV, and Hoyt. Wind is blowing harder than I expected up here. When we got off that tractor, I could just hear it roaring in these treetops over here. I figured, man, they didn't even hear that tractor coming in. While we're waiting for the action to start, I'm gonna entertain you with Amos's most recent hunt. See, if you remember, I think it was sometime like 24th or 25th of October, he shot a really nice buck in Iowa on public land. And then he switched over and started hunting Minnesota public. And what day did he kill? The 4th?
Yeah, must have been.
Yeah, so the 4th of November, Amos took another good buck on public land. So we'll show you that hunt now.
For the midday update, it's 2 o'clock. The wind's kind of starting to get more consistent out of the southeast. I only saw those 2 deer this morning. that encounter with that smaller buck was pretty cool on the scrape, and then him making a rub. He worked off to the south of me. I didn't see anything this afternoon for a midday rut movement. I don't know if I believe in that after my last couple all-day sits. Just haven't seen the good movement. Maybe it's a little later in the rut this year. That was a pretty cool experience. I'm pretty sure that's the 8-pointer that I saw this morning. Truthfully, I was about to pass him, but there's only a few more days until the gun season. I think this might be one of my last days here to hunt in Minnesota on public land. So I'm more than appreciative to get a chance at a pretty nice buck for Minnesota public land and have a beautiful shot right here on this beaver dam, which was pretty cool. So it's gonna be a little bit of an adventure to get him out, but I think I made a great shot on him, and we'll track him up here in a couple minutes. As you can see here, I found him. He only went about 60 yards, not too far. I thought I hit him a little bit low after watching the footage back, but I must have clipped part of his heart. Really red blood on the blood trail. And I'm more than grateful to be sitting behind a second buck of the year. It's my first time ever harvesting 2 bucks, and this is my first ever Minnesota public land buck. So got a little bit of work ahead of myself. I got to put him in the canoe and row him back. I think Carson's gonna come out and help. All right, we got him dragged out and tagged. Carson once again came in to help me out, I'm very thankful for him. I'm very blessed to have a great friend like that. He only went about 60 yards, and I'm very grateful again to be sitting behind another great public land deer, especially here in the state of Minnesota. And the chase continues. How do you close it again?
So we appreciate you joining us. We'll see you right back here again for the next episode of Hoyt's Bowhunting Whitetails.
All right, ready?
We appreciate you joining us here.
So we appreciate you joining us here.
We appreciate you joining us. We'll see you right back here for the next episode of Hoyt's Bowhunting Whitetails.
Yeah, there you go.
All right, we appreciate you joining us. We'll see you right back here for another episode of Hoyt's Bowhunting Whitetails. And remember to always dream big.
Amos is having quite a season. I asked him if he's going to try to shoot the Tri-State Slam and get a public land deer in Wisconsin too. He said he's got some spots, so maybe he's not done yet. That's pretty cool. He works hard. I don't know anybody that works harder than him, at least in this area. So let's talk about this spot real quick, and then I'll get back to hunting. It's windy, so hopefully the wind's not hitting the microphone on this camera too hard. I think I should be okay. There's a draw that runs right in front of me and goes down into the bottom, right down by the scrape tree. And at the bottom of that draw, there's a ditch. Most of these draws are steep enough that when the water starts to go in there, the runoff from these hillsides, it washes out the bottom of the draw and makes a ditch. So it washes it right down to the rocks. And it can be pretty steep and pretty deep in spots. And the trees fall in there and it gets almost impassable for deer. They can go through them in a lot of spots, but they have to work a lot harder than if they go up around the top of it. So I call these ditch funnels, and they're super easy to find. You can look at a topographical map and you can see where the contour lines make a sharp corner. That's a draw. And if it's sharp enough, you know it's pretty deep. And that tells you there might be enough runoff that you're going to have a ditch at the bottom that the deer are going to go around. That's what this is. So right in front of me there's a series of 3 trails, and all of them go around the end of this draw to my left. There's one at 10 yards, there's one at 20, and there's one at about 30. And that's what we're hunting. We're not hunting the opening behind. We're hunting these trails on the inside where they go around the head of that draw. And Carson just noticed that since 2 days ago, there's a pretty nice rub that's opened up right at the head of that ditch on one of those trails. So that's a good sign. The expectation is that as the deer are working off these 2 points, one on either side, I'm facing not south, but kind of southwesterly. They're going to be coming off those points, going around the head of this draw, back and forth. The bucks would be looking for does. It's a real standard rut hunting travel pattern. It's a pretty easy one to find. Like I said, you don't even need to scout. You just get the topographical map out and you can pretty much say there's going to be a funnel right at the end, right at the head of this draw. Hopefully we can prove it out today. I would like nothing more than to show you some bucks, or maybe even the right buck, going around the end of that draw. I can't believe how fast this hunt went. We're down to 45 minutes. Still haven't seen any deer. And I'm starting to get comments on the videos wondering where the deer are on this farm. And we're kind of wondering the same thing. Carson and I were comparing notes. We haven't even had a doe within bow range in like 10 days. We haven't seen a mature buck yet. If I didn't have trail cameras out, I would be packing my bags and looking for someplace else. And I think, it's hard to figure out exactly what the problem is. I think it's this year there's so much food, both in the timber and in the fields and in the food plots, that the deer are really spread out. There's a couple here, a couple there, and there aren't that many on the farm to begin with. There's not a high deer density here to start with. So then you spread them out, and for some reason, they just don't move much in daylight. Even in the areas where we haven't hunted, spots that all we've got is a camera there, cell camera, we don't even go in there to check the camera. It's been a month since I put the camera out. Still not getting daylight pictures of bucks. So it's just, this farm is just different. Because we keep hearing stories from people like Ben. Oh, I saw another giant. There's 12 deer out in the food plot. It's like, there aren't 12 deer on this whole farm. Anyway, logic suggests that we're gonna have some luck turn our way here pretty soon, and some of these bucks that we're missing are going to show back up again, or the deer that we were hoping to hunt going into the season, a couple of really good deer from last year, maybe they'll show up. I mean, it's still only November 6th. I mean, we get to hunt the whole month of November with a bow. I can't make judgment yet, but I'm going to have some pretty harsh thoughts about this farm if it doesn't start turning around here pretty soon. So we'll break back in if we've got anything interesting to show you. Otherwise, we're going to wrap up here. And like I said, tomorrow I'm excited about that northwest wind. We're going back up into that bedding area right across the valley, right straight across from where I'm sitting. And that's where that buck is most likely going to be. And if a stranger does show up on this farm, that's the most likely place for him. So we'll bring you that action, of course. And we appreciate you joining us here. We'll see you right back here again tomorrow for the next episode of Hoyt's Bowhunting Whitetails. Remember to always dream big. gosh, well, I'm not going to shoot her now. It's too late, but that's really dark. She's going to smell us pretty soon. There it was.